This way, we have answered as much as we can during the presentation, and it'll give us then an opportunity to go through all of the questions that are asked at the end. So I just asked for your patience. Let Mr. Brooks go through everything. The email address to send those, you want to just, yes. So if you want to start to send written questions before the end, you can email them to info@marlboroschools.org, or you'll be able to put them in the chat, but we're not going to respond to any of the questions in the chat that are submitted prior to us starting the question period. We're going to try this, and if this works well, this is probably how we will do our public comment periods going forward in our board meetings. So we're going to try and see if we can make this work. Okay, Mr. Brooks, we'll turn it over to you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. This is our second parent information session on our Return to Learn plan. We've got a lot of information to go through. We sent out this presentation plus a series of 3 detailed presentations from our schools on our alert system. They are also posted on our Return to Learn site, and were also posted on our social media and Twitter and Facebook accounts. And that was all sent and posted earlier today. First of all, as the Board of Education and county health officials and the governor's office and our school district administration created a focus, we developed really what became 3 sets or 3 pillars of goals for our Return to Learn program. Number 1, we want to make sure that we maximize the amount of time that students and teachers are with each other, face-to-face, in the same place, in the same building. Number 2, we needed to establish and follow necessary safety procedures that will minimize the transmission of the illness, not just COVID-19, but all illness. But third, and most importantly, we need to recognize that this is a very difficult challenge for everybody involved. Returning to school means that families, children, staff, all of us have unique and varied needs. They may be health related, they may be food related, they may be related to learning and advancement or family issues or daycare. There is a long list, a myriad list of things that are difficult challenges for any of us. So we wanted to recognize that all 3 of these things are the key pillars in our goal of returning to learn. Maximize togetherness, establish safety procedures and follow them, and recognize that everyone has a difficult challenge in this entire process. I also want to make sure that families are clear on our contacts. So the best place to get specific information about your children and your family situation as it relates to scheduling and what this program is by contacting our principals, our assistant principals, and at the high school and the middle school, contacting the guidance offices. So the information for how to contact those people is right here on the slide. Tonight is the second meeting of our 3. We have another meeting scheduled for next Tuesday at the same time, 7 o'clock here on our YouTube channel. It will be the same exact presentation. You are more than willing to join us. We invite you for that experience. However, there's nothing new that will be added, so you're not required to attend. These are 3 identical presentations. So when will school begin? September 2020. The first 4 days of school, the Board of Education has altered the original calendar for our 2020-21 student year, that the first 4 days, September 1st through the 4th, will be training days for staff. Those are necessary days so we can train on health protocols, finalize any technology supports, curriculum and instructional planning, room rearrangements. Teachers need to get their rooms set and reset so that this new reality of what education is going to be in our buildings can be prepared for when students do return. Then the second week of September, which would begin Tuesday, September 8th through the 11th, we're going to call that a soft opening. And this is going to be an opportunity for staff members, teachers to get reacclimated with our students in our learning environment. If you remember now, we haven't been in our schools for months. We need to slowly reintegrate our children back in so they can build a rapport with the building again, build a rapport with the staff members, reintroduce themselves and learn their new teachers and new routines. So we're doing that with a soft opening that each child will be coming to school only one day during the week of the 8th through the 11th. You will have received, if you didn't already, a letter from our principals identifying which of the days of that week your children will attend school. Either Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, and you will only attend that one day. Our in-person hybrid classes will begin Tuesday, September 15th. Your Group A or Group B, which I will get into a little more detail in just a little bit, is also assigned on the letter you will receive or have received from our principals. And our online academy also begins on Tuesday, September 15th. So let me talk a little bit about the hybrid AB model. This is a mix of in-person and remote learning. The bulk of our children are, at this point, opting for an in-person hybrid AB model, meaning that they are going to be attending in-school classes Tuesday through Friday, every other day. So if you're designated as a student in Group A, you will be attending school in our building on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and you will be working remotely on assignments and activities that teachers have assigned to you in your remote days, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. If you're in Group B, you'll be in school with our teachers on Wednesday and Friday, and conversely also working on those assignments assigned to you in your remote days, which are Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. We've also established Monday as a universal remote day for all students, and this has a real purpose to it. One of the experiences we had back in the spring was many students experienced some difficulty in having full participation in our online learning. And parents had a difficult time keeping up with what they were supposed to do and what they weren't supposed to be doing because there was little accountability to it. So Monday is dedicated to communication and collaboration. This is time when teachers are going to be expected to communicate directly with families and reflect on the previous week and reflect on progress for our children, have direct meets with small groups of children, have direct meets with families, and make sure that we close the communication gap so that if your child was supposed to be online live with teachers 2 or 3 times during the previous week, during the days, and the teacher said, hey, wait a minute now, I only had your student on one live because they didn't participate in the other lives. That's a vital piece of information that families need to have. And this day is dedicated to allowing teachers and requiring teachers to communicate that information to families and vice versa. It's not a day off for students. Students are expected to work 5 days a week on assignments given to them by their teachers, but it's a day dedicated to our staff members working on remodeling curriculum, communicating with families, and making sure that we don't have children falling through the gaps. We also have a student group that we're calling a priority group, and in Marlboro, that priority group is our self-contained special needs students in elementary through high school, and they will be attending in-school classes Tuesday through Friday. They will not be every other day. They will be every day, Tuesday through Friday. Principals will be notifying those students of that responsibility. So some more information about our hybrid AB. Group letters, they've been mailed home. We basically split the list based on numbers. So Group A is A through LIO, and the last names of LIT through Z is Group B. Families with blended last names, your group was chosen by your eldest child. We are also going to be providing Chromebooks to all students K-12. 7 through 12 already have their Chromebooks. 6 will get theirs at the beginning of the school year as we normally would. I believe we are also going to be redeploying some machines for 9th graders, so we're going to be replacing some older machines there. K through 5 is a new experience for us this fall. K through 5 students have not had a computer assigned to them to bring home. They will this fall. So the younger students will be receiving an iPad, and then the rest of the students at the elementary school will be getting Chromebooks from the school district. Those are currently on order, and as soon as they arrive, we will arrange for distribution of the Chromebooks and the iPads to our K-5 families. We believe that this is going to help out also significantly within the family house, because if you have multiple children and they all have to meet at the same time with different teachers, there's no way you can have each log on without a separate device for each child. This will help you with that. I do want to make sure I also remind you, students will be working 5 days a week, 2 days in school and 3 days remotely. Teachers will be coordinating the remote work for individual and groups of students to work at home on the remote days. Another little detail piece, students that are assigned to career and technology education, the CTEC program out at Orange Ulster BOCES, yes, we will be still coordinating and providing that program. Coordination with that effort is ongoing right now to create those schedules and link up the resources necessary so that our CTEC students can get out to Goshen and participate in their half-day career and technology education programs. Special education IEPs are also a yes. Again, this is being coordinated by our special education office. Related services, in-district placements, out-of-district placements, all IEP requirements are all a yes. I'd like to actually go back to this for just a moment, and let me give you a sense of how we are going to be improving our instructional program for the fall. One thing we heard universally from staff members and from family members is there was not enough live time during the springtime. We did not have enough time, enough live meets between our children and our staff members. That is going to be significantly improved for the fall. There will be a substantial increase in live time between students and teachers come September. But I also want to make sure that we're putting together a program that does not overwhelm families, overwhelm children, or overwhelm our staff members. So for example, if you have a 42-minute class, you may not necessarily be live face-to-face with your teacher for all 42 minutes. There only may need to be time at the beginning of the class for 15 or 20 minutes while the teacher teaches a new concept and then pushes the children out to work in small groups or on their own for the remainder of the period outside of the live time so they can work on something. Similar to as if you were in class. When you're in class, you're not always listening to the teacher talking. You're also working on concepts once taught by the teacher. That is something you will experience this fall. And like I said, our Communication and Collaboration Day, Monday, will also help to tighten up the communication that occurs between teachers and families, so families know, did my children participate? Are they doing their work? And are they progressing as they should? Teachers will have that responsibility to communicate with you. Our online academy is a choice academy. This is 100% online learning, and this is for families who are very uncomfortable with their children attending school in person. It's a full online program. There's a commitment that you make when you sign up for this program through the end of January 2021. If we continue beyond January, it will be based on a discussion that we have with families sometime in the December and January timeframe. And it really is going to be dependent upon the status of where COVID is in New York State and any new guidance we get from the state of New York. It will be much more structured than the online program from last spring, just like I was describing. More lives, more lessons, and more synchronicity with scheduling. Sample schedules for all three schools on what a live academy would look like, or excuse me, an online academy looks like, are already posted on our Return to Learn page, and they were sent out today through our alert system. The online academy begins on Tuesday, September 15th. Again, this is trying our best to achieve a balance between being much more structured with live sessions, but also allowing for the flexibility because of the realities in all of our lives, but ultimately seeking a goal for high quality teaching and learning. Chromebooks will be supplied, as I said, for all K-12 students, regardless of whether you're in the hybrid or in the online academy. 7 through 12, really 6 through 12 already has them. We do know we have to distribute for 6th graders because those Chromebooks aged out. And K through 5 are on order, and as soon as they arrive, we will distribute. The deadline for enrollment in the online academy has been extended to Sunday, August 17th. August 16th. I'll change that on this slide in just a little bit. But the deadline has been extended to Sunday, August 16th. We need that deadline so we can get to work on getting our schedules taken care of and planning all of our teacher lineups so that we have teachers assigned to courses. And we need the time between next week and the beginning of the school year to get all that done. Again, with an online academy, we will have career and technology education for those that are signed up for the C-Tech program at BOCES, and we will meet all required IEP needs, being coordinated by our special education office. So if you want to see our full Return to Learn plan, if you click on the link that's in this presentation that was sent to you, you can get straight to our MCSD Return to Learn plan page. You can also just go to our main website. The full plan details are there regarding health and safety procedures, basic instructional design impact aspects, and it's available on our website. It was also sent out in the alert today. The governor made some changes to the requirements on Friday, and we are adapting to those changes as we speak. First of all, we know that New York State standards must be taught across the board, so our curriculum is set. All Department of Health guidelines for safety must be met. We must be working directly with the Ulster County Department of Health as they prescribe any testing requirements to help identify and reduce or minimize the chance for spread of COVID. We also must participate with any prescribed requirements for contact tracing with the Department of Health from Ulster County, and we will do that. How do we do that? We have a team of our own nurses. Our own administrators have direct contact with the county executive's office, and our nurses will have direct contact with the county, a team of county nurses from the Department of Health. That direct contact and a set of clear protocols will allow us to institute any of these safety measures immediately. So health and safety preparations. Entry criteria. Temperature scanning is at the center of it. All people, whether you're a staff member or a child, will have your temperature scanned when you enter our school. We have purchased temperature scanning equipment that looks very similar to metal detectors. And as you walk through those detectors, a temperature will be detected. Whether you have a temperature below 100 or above 100 is determined by those machines. If the machine does scan that you have a temperature above 100, we'll pull you to the side and have your temperature scanned a few more times to make sure that it wasn't a false positive. If it was an error, we're just going to ask you to continue on, go to your room, go to class, and continue on your day. If it was not an error and you do have a fever, staff members will be asked to go home. Students will communicate with students' families and have the students picked up. All of this will immediately be reported to the Department of Health, and Ulster County will give us protocols for follow-through for finding out what we have to do in our next steps. So I'm going to get into some more detail about a specific scenario regarding an ill student or an ill staff member during the school day in just a little bit. Another piece that we're going to be making sure that we do is minimizing visitors during the day. We want to control the flow of people and minimize external people coming into our schools. All offices and classrooms that have a sink will also have soap there so people can stay nice and clean. And if they don't have a sink, we will have sanitizing stations. Social distancing signs and graphics will be all over the place so that we can help encourage people to stay distanced as much as possible. Hygiene is a center part of our cleaning and safety protocols. Hand washing and mask wearing are a must. Our teachers will be enforcing mask wearing and also be encouraging and requiring frequent hand washing and cleanliness breaks throughout the day. We need to make sure that we take care of ourselves and our own personal hygiene. So students will be required to keep their areas clean, teachers will keep their areas clean, and we will also have additional staff on hand to help out with enhancing our cleaning measures as well. We will have plenty of extra disposable and cloth masks in case there are any students that come without, so that we can make sure we take care of them. Shields will be provided for staff, along with employees getting a kit with gloves, masks, shields, and sanitizer. Again, we will also be sanitizing spaces, whether it's high-touch locations in the hallways, banisters, and doorknobs. bathrooms, but we will also be working our way into classrooms as much as possible throughout the day. But we also, as I said, expect teachers and students to keep their own spaces clean as well. We'll also be doing significant sanitizing and cleaning every night. So let me get into a specific scenario. What if someone gets sick during the school day or arrives at school sick? Again, we were going to be immediately isolating that individual with our nursing staff. There will be an additional medical screening and notification to the Department of Health. The dedicated staff at the Department of Health in Ulster County will be prepared to come into Marlborough and advise and direct exactly what it is we're supposed to do on how to handle that medical issue. We will have direct contact, as expected, with the county executive's office. He has dedicated one of his deputies to be the point person. Deputy County Executive Mark Ryder is that person. Immediately, there will be an assessment of the medical issue and decide on an isolation for others if there's any quarantining that has to happen. Remember, not every fever is COVID, so there will be some assessment done to find out, is this particular case a COVID case that requires testing and tracing, or is this something else that the Department of Health will advise and guide on? But I want to make sure I finish off with the last bullet. All of this, whether you're an adult or whether you're a child, is going to be very scary. Coming back to school is going to be a challenge for everybody. If you also end up crossing through our temperature scanners and you scan hot, that's also going to be scary. And I don't care if you're an adult or a child, it's going to be scary. We do have to focus on the physical illness because we want you well. And we also want to make sure we don't spread an illness if you have it. But we also need to make sure we take care of your emotional side for adults and children. And this is important for all of us. We can't jump to conclusions. We can't overreact. And we also can't underreact. So we will do our best to make sure that we isolate individuals that are showing signs of illness, take care of the physical illness, but also work on the emotional element to make sure our kids and our staff members are okay. So the last message I want to leave off with this slide is, if you are sick, please don't come to school and please don't come to work. Stay home until you're no longer sick. The less we have of people, adults and children, coming into school with an illness, the less of a chance there will be for a spread of the illness. COVID or not COVID, anything else. Cleanliness and health in our schools. Students will be responsible for keeping themselves and their desks clean. This is just pure, good personal hygiene. Teachers will support it. They will educate students on good hygiene, and they will help supervise to make sure that they're providing time during the course of a period or during the course of the day, multiple times, for keeping learning environments clean and safe. It's a center part of making sure that we keep our schools safe. We will also have additional cleaning staff on hand that will help sanitize common areas, and we will continue to monitor needs around our schools and get into classrooms as often as we can during the day. Every night, every single space will be deep cleaned, sanitized, and thoroughly inspected and cleaned. We're also stocking up on a significant amount of cleaning supplies. We have a lot in stock, and we also have a lot more on order. There are some areas where all of us are experiencing some supply chain issues. We are experiencing a shortage in antibacterial wipes. So that's an area that we do struggle with. We are suggesting that students bring student hygiene kits, we'll call them. In that hygiene kit, we're suggesting that parents send your children in with multiple personal masks. In case the mask that they go to school with gets soiled, they'll want to switch over into a mask that's clean. If you can get them, get disinfecting wipes and send your children in with disinfecting wipes. We will have plenty of paper towels and sanitizer spray that we can use to sanitize things, but the sanitizing wipes, disinfecting wipes, are very convenient for children. And also come in with some tissues. It's very helpful to have that for cleaning up after yourself. Transportation requirements. So on our buses, just like in our schools and our classrooms and our hallways, masks are required. We are also requiring safe distances within the seating. Keep in mind, every other day, half of our students will be coming to our schools. So our buses will be half full every other day as well. So there will be plenty of room on our buses to wear masks and also distance. We are also making sure that we note again to families, if your children are ill in the morning, please do not send them to school, because if they come into our schools with a fever, they will be sent home. So do the work at home, check their temperature to make sure before they get on the bus, you're keeping them home if they do have a fever. We will continuously evaluate our transportation and cleaning protocols, making sure we're working closely with Quality Bus. Our bus runs will be cleaned between runs, and all our buses will be cleaned between runs and also every night thoroughly. And we're also encouraging families to make sure, and students to make sure, that while you're at a bus stop, you need to make sure you're distanced at bus stops as well. Another way that we can help reduce the number of students on our buses is encourage families to drive their students to school. If you have the capability to drive your children to school, please do so. That will reduce the number of kids on our buses even more. Keep in mind, we have well over 300 students at this point signed up for our online academy. So those students will also not be on our bus. So there should be a no saturation level on our school buses in September. Food service requirements. We're going to increase our grab and go options, so there's less people waiting on lines for a hot lunch like you would, or even a cold lunch like you would normally see in a cafeteria. There's going to be a lot more eating in classrooms and alternative spaces beyond just the cafeteria. While you're eating, you are able to take your mask off so you can eat, so we need more space, so we'll need to spread out more in any alternative spaces that we possibly can. Principals will communicate directly with teachers and families about those eating plans in the coming weeks. We will also use as many outdoor locations whenever possible, as long as the weather permits. The snack shack will be available for those families that are not attending in person, so you can pick up meals. Our food service director, Fred Callow, is working on coordinating that effort. Building specific plans, as I said, will be shared by principals in the coming weeks. If by some chance schools are closed, the Snack Shack food distribution program at the high school is still in place and will continue to serve food. We want to make sure that anybody with food insecurity does not have that food insecurity. We will get you the food that you need every day. What's the classroom and school environment going to look like? Again, with the AB model every other day, teachers will be teaching half of their class on any given day. So that keeps our class sizes small. So if you normally have 22 children in your class, and let's say 2 of those or 3 of those children are signed up for the online academy, those children are now out of the class in their entirety. So you're left with 19 other children. Those 19 other children will be split into 2 groups, the A group and the B group, so you'll have half the number of children in a class at any given time. That's in the hybrid model. So there's plenty of space in classrooms to maintain social distancing. We are also requiring face coverings, but we also have to recognize that there will be need for mask breaks. There is just time that you need to just say, you know what, I need to just move away from some people, and I need to just take a break with my mask. And that's something that teachers will work into their daily routines. Wherever possible, we are going to minimize student movement. That's a lot easier at the elementary level. It's significantly more challenging at the secondary level. So that's also why we have a low saturation level on our number of students attending on any given day, so that if there is student movement in the hallways, for example, changing classes at the high school and middle school level, there's plenty of room in the hallways to stay separated. We are going to continue to emphasize and teach good personal hygiene. Keep yourself and your space clean. Personal responsibility is extraordinarily important in this adventure. I also want to emphasize grades count. Homework counts, assignments count, tests count, quizzes, etc. Anything assigned by teachers will tell you this is going to be graded, and that will all count towards your marking period grade that goes back to normal. We are no longer going to be using a pass-fail approach. Students will get the grades that they normally would have gotten in their particular school grade level, just like if it was regular school. So grades count. And attendance also counts. So in-person and online or remote learning, attendance will be taken and kept. So students, you need to participate. And again, that's why we're having a C&C day, the communication and collaboration day. So teachers can stay connected with families to make sure that families know when are my children doing their work, when are they not doing their work, and not have to wait till the end of a marking period to find out how things went. CNC Day happens on Mondays every week. We all need to pull in the same direction. If we do, I know we can keep each other safe and focused on learning. We have one more meeting similar to this one scheduled for Tuesday, August 18th. It's on the same YouTube channel. You are more than welcome to join us. It's the same exact presentation. And if you don't want to join us, that'd be fine too. You're not going to be missing anything new, but you are more than welcome to join us on Tuesday, August 18th at 7 o'clock on our YouTube channel. Mr. Milazzo, I am open for questions. Do you want me to do the email questions first?
Yeah, let's start with the email questions, and then those that are on the YouTube channel can start submitting questions that we'll take in order.
Okay, Ms. Heck, did you send those to me yet, or are you still compiling, or do you want to read them to me?
You should have. You should have them.
They just came. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so let me see what I can do here. Will any students be allowed to eat in class? As I see this presents a real danger. There will be eating in class, but it'll be under controlled conditions to make sure that there's plenty of distance and plenty of ability to stay clean after you're done. So yes, they will be eating in class. They also may be using other alternative spaces out in the hallways. Our cafeterias are still open. It's just we have to keep our capacity lower in the cafeteria so that students can stay spaced and distanced within our cafeteria. How are lab classes being handled for the online learning days? Will there be a virtual lab program purchased by the district? We'll purchase whatever we need to make our programs work, but those are the details right now for our science-based courses at the middle school that require lab, and our science-based courses at the high school that have a lab requirement. Mr. Lawler and Mrs. Clinton are working with our science staff to finalize those plans in the coming weeks. That will be set and in place by the time we open up the school year. How's attendance being taken during the online learning days? Our high school and our administrators are working with School Tool, which is where our attendance is housed, and that's the same portal that parents go to see their children's grades and information about their children. School Tool is working on the attendance option and how that can be done with regular in-class attendance, remote attendance, and also for the online model. So we're expecting changes to be in School Tool so that we can take attendance for all of our models. For the kids that are doing the hybrid, what will their 2 days at home be like? Will they be following their regular schedule and doing classes live online with the class, or are they just doing assignments on their own like last year? So during the remote days, we would suggest that you try to keep your children on a regimen so that they follow their regular schedule during the day. That keeps them on schedule, but they will not be logging into live meets. For the most part, will not be logging into their live meets unless the teacher puts something special together so that the students that are in class and the students that are at home are meeting at the same time. Teachers will create those scenarios and those opportunities for their own unique situation. So while children are remote, we would suggest that you closely follow or have them closely follow their regular schedule so that they can get up early, get themselves going, and get school done. They will be working on assignments that were assigned during the live time that they were together with their teachers the day before. Also, if a child is absent on their scheduled day to be in school due to a non-COVID illness, can they do the class online at home and get credit for being in school that day? I think that's a good question and a great detail that can be reviewed by our teachers and by our school building principals as they develop out our schedules in the fall. I don't think that that's something that we thought of yet. So fantastic question, whoever sent that in, and our principals are on so they can see that that's something we're going to want to follow up on and know a little bit and understand a little bit more about. So thank you for that question. Will students use lockers? Right now, we're not intending to have students use lockers at the middle school and at the high school. We think that that minimizes their ability to congregate and also then maximizes their ability to stay separated. How will arrival and dismissal occur at all 3 buildings? It's going to be a very carefully choreographed experience. We do need to have our students come in and our staff come in through the temperature scanners. So we will work on a slow entry process to get our children in through the scanners, get them scanned and get down to their classroom. It will obviously not be as quick as it has been, so school will be a little bit different and a little more delayed in the morning as we enter our schools. But we would anticipate that once we start getting into a good routine, it'll become more clean and quick and a little more efficient, as typically September does get more clean and efficient as we move through the month. Will students use the same desks in both cohorts, and will they be cleaned? Yes, so students will be using the same desks. We do expect students to keep their area clean during the course of the day. They should clean a desk. If you can send your children in with hand wipes, that'd be wonderful. We will also supply whatever we have in the school to help our teachers help their students keep their areas clean. But also every night, those spaces will be cleaned and sanitized by our custodial and cleaning staff. And yes, we are hiring more cleaning staff for during the day and for whatever we need at night. Will the curriculum and assignments be the same for all models? The answer is yes. So we will be following the New York State standards. The expectation is that teachers teach the standards and provide a rigorous instruction and assignments. For the online academy for the online academy schedule for K2, so there's 3 questions. Will there be specials for elementary such as gym, art, etc., which are not currently shown on the schedule? We are anticipating that yes, those specials will be part of our children's experience. The details on how those experiences are going to happen are being worked on right now. So stay tuned for further details from Mrs. Walsh on our specials schedule for our elementary children. But those are important experiences that they all need to be involved in. What if there are not enough students signed up for a specific grade level? Will it still be offered? Absolutely. We will offer all of our programs, all of our grade levels to our children, hybrid or online. We will bend over backwards and do whatever we have to make sure that our children are not harmed by this and get the programs they deserve. Will students be interacting with the same teacher every day? What about what are breakout groups? So interacting with the same teacher in the in-person in-school day, if they're at the elementary level, they'll be with their teacher. At the secondary level, it depends upon the course because different teachers are certified to teach different things. So you'll be, if you have a biology class, you will be with the same biology teacher every time. Breakout groups are something that can be done when the teacher is finished with live teaching, or it can be on a remote day. So students can create their own Google Meet groups and get together with other students to work on group projects or to work on assignments together. They don't have to work in isolation. Create your own Google Meets through our Google platform that is fully bought into by the school district, and breakout groups are a great way to approach that. Teachers will help you with how to put those together. Next question, if one student tests positive, will the school require all students to quarantine or just that particular class, and how will each of the 3 schools address this? Fantastic question. That is a protocol that will be immediately put in place with an isolation of the student that obviously is tested positive. Before, if they were in school, we'll have isolated that child and immediately contacted the Department of Health, who will assist with the testing and then the contact tracing. If it's a student that is tested positive and not come to school, we will wait for the Department of Health to notify us if there are any contact tracing connections that would require students or staff to quarantine, and we will follow those regulations and rules to the T. Number 2, will remote learning students only have 1 to 5 periods per day, whereas hybrid students will have periods 1 through 9, both in person and online? Yes, that is a nuance between the 2 programs. The middle school and high school and the elementary school are coming up with unique schedules for the online environment so that families are not overwhelmed and students are not overwhelmed with too many classes in any one given day. they can be spread out over time, because we do know that all online learning is challenging for scheduling at the home. Will there be temperature taking prior to getting onto the school bus? Because once students have gotten on the bus, and if they are ill, then they've exposed themselves and others to students prior to having temperatures taken upon arrival at school. Plus, will there be busing during the soft opening? The easy one's the end. Yes, there will be busing during the soft opening. As far as the temperature taking, getting onto the bus, we are expecting families to be partners in this process. If your children are sick, if they are displaying any levels of illness prior to arriving on the bus or getting on the bus, please don't allow them to get on the bus. This is a piece of that personal responsibility that we all have to be in this together. Please don't send your children, staff members, don't come to work if you are ill. It is important that if we follow along with that ourselves, we will absolutely reduce the possibility for the spread of illness. Plus, when your students do arrive at school, they will be walking through our temperature scanners, and you will be getting a call from us to come pick up your children. So help avoid that, and make sure you're keeping your children home when they are ill. The last question I have here says, will there be teachers conducting Google Meets during virtual learning, or will it be pre-recorded or slides, which didn't work out well in the spring? And if more students need to have a virtual meet, will teachers be available to do so, whether it's on Monday or other virtual days? And during non-live meetings and small groups are to work together, will the teacher be there in the background to assist, or will they have to wait until the next period or day? We are expecting significantly different experience this fall than we had in the spring. I know we got a lot better at online learning from March to June. We're going to get significantly better with how we structure, how we schedule, and how we conduct, and the number of conducting of live meets when we get to the fall. Our teachers will be having significantly more live sessions. There will also be opportunities for recorded sessions or recorded assignments during the remote or the online days. But yes, there will be an expectation of significantly more live time so our teachers and our children can connect as much as possible. We want them to be in person in our hybrid model as much as possible, and we want them to connect as much as possible when they're in our online academy as well. Mr. Milazzo, those are the only questions that I have from email.
Okay. So I'll move on to the others then. Mr. Brooks, you've told us if you have questions to contact the guidance counselors. How can we do this when they're not returning to the building until August 25th?
So next week we have guidance counselors at the middle school and a guidance counselor at the high school starting Monday. So there will be staffed out guidance offices beginning on Monday. Before then, well, if you have any questions, you can also contact our high school principal and our high school assistant principal and the clerical staff that's in the guidance office. They are all prepared to work and answer your questions directly or filter your questions to the person that can. Once the guidance counselors do return for regular work towards the end of August, that's when they were going to fine tune and finalize all of the student schedules for September.
Okay. The next question is, if a positive COVID case arises, at what point will we go to a full-time remote?
Okay, fantastic question. So that is something that has multiple layers to it. The governor has announced a certain infection rate that will trigger whether a region or a school district should move to a fully remote learning approach. I don't recall the numbers off the top of my head. I think it's 5 or 9%, or there's some range to that. But that is something that will be, that from a regional perspective, would be directed by the governor's office. From a more localized perspective, from the Ulster County perspective in our school district, that will be determined by the Department of Health in collaboration with me. So the Department of Health knows the science and knows that we're all trying to minimize the spread of illness. And if they see that there's a hot spot developing and they need to shut down a school, they will work with me to shut down the school and move people to an online learning environment for short-term or long-term, depending upon the situation.
Okay, thank you. How will live meets work when teachers are teaching the other group during the day? What about kids who are in daycare on the remote days that don't have access to live meat? Will they be penalized?
Right. So that's going to be a tough one. That's something that we're going to all have to figure out and work through. That's the piece that has to be looked at in, yes, we need more scheduling, we need more live time, but we also need to make sure that we have flexibility built in so we're not harming anybody. So we absolutely know that that will be a challenge for some, especially those with children in daycare. And that is something that our staff is going to have to work very closely with families during those C&C days to see how we can figure out what ways can we help our children and our families succeed in this model. If that's not something that you're meeting with success, please make sure you're communicating that with your teachers and also with your principals.
Okay, the next question is, when will the school tool portal be reopened?
Typically, we don't open that up until schedules are finalized towards the last week of August. So that would be the same timeline now. Most likely, schedules will be finalized hopefully by the end of August. If not, it will be that first week of staff training week. Principals will notify you with some more detail in the coming weeks with welcome back letters and information about when scheduling information is available.
Next, at the secondary level, with students switching between classes, who will wipe down the chairs and desks between classes for each new group of students?
As I said, we are expanding our cleaning staff, but there's no way that they will be able to get to every desk between every period. It's only a short amount of passing time, and our high school has 30 or 40 classrooms with about 900 desks, 800 desks. So we are expecting that students will also maintain the cleanliness of their area. I know that if I myself was to sit down in a new desk as I came in, I'd want to clean that area and make sure it's sanitized and also use sanitizer on my hands. There are sinks in classrooms with soap, and if you have a classroom without any sink or soap, then we'll have hand sanitizer in there that you can use to help clean spaces.
Okay. Why aren't teachers taping their lessons for the students home for the hybrid kids?
They may. So that is something that some teachers will look at how their model best works for them, and they may have a combination of lives and also recorded lessons. So they may gather the children for the first part of the class, teach them a concept, and then say, please also watch my recorded video on something that's more extended. So that's something that teachers will vary with on how they approach it. So it can be a combination of all of that. What we are making sure that we do and we expect is that there will be a lot more live time so that teachers and students connect during the week, not just towards the end of the week.
Thank you. If the student starts as a hybrid student, would they have the option to go full remote?
Now, we're asking for people to make a commitment by Sunday night for the online academy. Changes from online to hybrid and vice versa will create scheduling scenarios for us that are uncontrollable. So we need to be able to set our schedules and have those in place and keep those in place. So that's why we're asking for the commitment for the online academy through the end of January. There will always be extenuating circumstances that are extreme, and any of those extreme situations that need to be looked at, I would encourage families to contact their building principals so they can talk with them about extenuating circumstances.
Thank you. Will hybrid students have synchronous learning on the remote days?
Most likely not, although I have heard some subject-specific people that are looking at doing it that way. So that really will depend more on the specifics at a building level. So I know some of those details are being worked out as we speak right now about exactly when the lives and when any asynchronous work and what's going to be happening on the in-person day versus the remote day. I think there will be a lot of variety there as far as the courses and also the grade levels.
Thank you. What happens if there's an outbreak of COVID?
Obviously, that's not a good thing, but we will work very closely with our Department of Health and follow the proper course of action to make sure that we follow their directives and put our people, our staff, and our students into a place of safety. If that's closing down a classroom, a wing, a grade level, or a building, or the district for a portion of time, that's what we'll do. We'll follow whatever the science says to do with our Department of Health.
What does a virtual day look like for the hybrid?
There will be some level of variety in a virtual day. However, there will be some schedule element to it. If you look at the 3 models that were sent out today by our alert system, each building has a set of sample schedules that give you a perspective of what a an online learning day would look like, with some schedule time, and also it will be for lives and also for recorded or posted assignments.
Why is there an AB day for the online academy? It looks like they're only learning 2 days a week.
Right. So it actually is all days. It's the middle school and high school looked at, instead of having 9 periods straight through on every single day, they're splitting the periods 1 through 4, I believe it is, on one day, and then 5 through 9 on the other day. That way students and families, mostly students and also teachers, don't get overwhelmed with too much content on one day in an online forum. Feedback that we got was too much in one day was very overwhelming for everyone in the spring.
When will we get the schedule for the students?
We would anticipate by the last part of August, at the latest, the first part of September. Once those are finished, they will be posted on School Tool.
Okay. On the days they have an online learning, will the students be required to be on the computer the exact hours of the regular school day, or can they do the work anytime that day?
Sometimes there will be a lot of live meets that students are expected to participate in. So that's why we're suggesting during the remote days, become routinized so that you follow your regular schedule on the remote days. You follow the regular schedule when you're in class on the AB model. So we're suggesting that students regiment themselves, get up in the morning and have them use the schedule that is part of their in-person schedule to guide their day during the day, to complete their assignments and complete their work. That would then also allow them to join any live meets, if there are any, on their remote days.
Thank you. And we got a couple of these. If my child is enrolled in the hybrid model, but we decide it is not working for her, or we have health concerns, can we switch mid-marking period to the online academy?
Yeah, again, we would really like that commitment to stay through the end of January. As I said, there are always extraneous situations that need to be reviewed, and in an extreme situation, please contact your building principal, and we'll take a look at what the situation is. But it's definitely not a situation where we can go back and forth between one model and the next. It's not good for your children from an instructional perspective, and it's chaotic for our system to be able to schedule out children. And I think your children ultimately would suffer in that model, but in the back and forth. But we will look at helping families out that are in extreme situations.
Is the ratio of online learning equal to the ratio of hybrid learning? Because on a schedule that was sent out today, it looks like as if high school, the online learning will be a disadvantage.
I'm not sure if I fully understand that question.
It's more the AB and what you just talked about with the certain periods, certain days.
Oh,
Looking like they don't get as much instruction,
I
but
mean,
they're actually getting 4 days.
yeah, I mean, it's all different. It's all different than I understand the math mind there. There's no direct connection between how an approach in the AB hybrid model can compare directly to how the approach in an online model is going to work. But we are expecting and expected to follow the New York State standards in our curriculum. So there will be every effort to crunch everything in and make sure that it all gets done. It's just going to be very different. Learning in an online model with significantly more live meet time is different than learning in person. So there's an effort to make sure, and Ms. Hecht, our curriculum person, will make sure that our principals and our teachers are pushing that piece of the model.
Okay. Can I change my kids' group due to babysitter issues?
Most likely, I think that's a conversation that you should contact your principal about. I think that that's something that's unique in a unique way that I'd like you to contact your building principal and have that conversation with him or her.
Okay. If kids wear masks during recess in gym, won't they have problems breathing?
Well, teachers will have to help to monitor that, and if the exercise is so rigorous that that's the case, there'll have to be more breaks. So that's something that the phys ed teachers are going to have to work through. Again, just like in-class learning and online learning is going to be very different than we're used to, physical education is also going to be different.
How will my child's ceramic class work if they opt for the online academy?
I know our art department is looking at how they can get materials out to students in the online academy, and that's something that our art department leadership and our high school leadership are looking at and trying to problem solve on how we can make that happen.
This sort of goes along with what we've talked about. Why is it once you commit to hybrid, you're not allowed to switch should you decide it's unsafe for your child? In your family, Cuomo has said multiple times that he fully supports the family who decide to do this.
That's why I said if there's an extraneous situation that needs to be addressed, please contact your principal sooner than later as things change for your family situation so that your principal can look at it and figure out how best to address.
This is a statement, not a question, so you don't have to answer this one. I appreciate all the work and effort that the staff and everyone has been doing.
Thank you.
So what will the kids do at home? Will we get a week schedule?
The expectation is that teachers are clear on exactly what's going to be happening during a week. That CNC day is not just communication, it's also collaboration and planning time. So the expectation is that a child's week will be very clear to a family and a child through communication from the teacher. So the family knows exactly what it is their children are supposed to do in the coming week, and then follow up with that the following week to find out, did my child participate and how did they do on the previous week?
Most local districts have switched to full remote learning for the month of September. Is there a chance Marlboro will do the same?
I think it's true that there are some local school districts that have moved to a full remote model. I also think that there are some that have not. I have now gotten out of the prediction business, so I know that our goal right now is aimed at creating this environment for our A/B hybrid model and our online model. Can something change and stand in our way of implementing any of this between now and the mid part of September when we begin in full on September 15th? Certainly something could change. That's a month off. But our goal right now is to implement the models that I'm presenting to you tonight. So we're full force forward on that.
Why can't you give us a shorter window than commit like other schools? Highland families only have to commit to 10 weeks. Why couldn't we reassess after each quarter?
So I guess I would go back to, we are trying to set up a system where there's routines for children. And once they get used to a particular model, it's important to keep that model in place as long as possible for as many people as possible. If there is an extreme situation that needs to be addressed, I'm asking you to contact your building principal to have that conversation with them.
Thank you. If a child gets sick during the school hours, this has to be sent home. What will be the protocol for returning back to in-class instruction? Required testing, doctor documentation, required quarantine?
Could be all of that. It depends upon the situation. So the Department of Health will immediately be involved and assess the health issues of that particular person, whether it's an adult or a child, and make determinations as to what is the illness. Is it COVID or is it something else? And obviously, what is the course of action for a return to school after that illness has passed?
Where do the students log into for their online days? Will there be class links posted through Dojo like they were last year?
I know that Ms. Hecht, our principals and our department chairs and grade level leaders are working to clarify exactly how our portals will work, so there's clarity on how to get the teacher assignments. But that's also another driver behind why we're having our CNC days on Monday. collaboration and coordination, so everything is clear and it's not just a bunch of spray all over the place. We have to have a very regimented, very clear understanding of what my child's week is going to be like, and that's the expectation for what our teachers are going to be doing each week.
The next one, and we can both answer this one independently. If you had your children in the Marlboro School District, which plan would you pick and why?
Great question. I do not have children in the Marlboro School District. I have older children, but I like this hybrid model. I would like to have my children in school with their teachers. I would prefer that they were in school every day, because I think there's a lot of benefit to that, not only on the academic side, but on the socialization side. So I would be opting myself towards that. But that is a very personal decision. So I respect all people in the way that they approach, and all children in the way they approach how they're going to make their choice for September.
Yeah, and I'll just piggyback off that. My daughter graduated from Marlboro and just finished her senior year in college. And we did talk about it extensively as this has all transpired. And she had said, they dealt with the remote learning her last semester of college. And she said the loss of direct contact with the teachers was very, very difficult for her. And there was no way she would not want to go back. Even in a hybrid model, she'd like to have at least some of that day-to-day contact. Will elementary school kids bring all of their personal supplies in and out every day, or will they be expected to share certain supplies as normally done in the past?
Yeah, there has to be minimal or no sharing. I know that that's something that the elementary administration and health staff and planning will be part of what we're doing right now. So we really do need to minimize that sharing as much as possible. So I know that that's part of their plans as we speak.
Hold on one second. I pulled down your count. Okay, here we go. Will there be plexiglass separating the desks in the classroom?
No, there may be some individual situations where we have to do that, depending upon program and situation, but for the most part, you're not going to see plexiglass separating desks in classrooms.
Will the students be allowed to bring home their textbooks every night?
It really kind of depends upon the grade level in the course and the need for a particular assignment. So that's a depends. Building principals can communicate out on that, and obviously teachers in their daily assignments will communicate on that.
Okay. Will the bus schedule be the same with less kids being transported?
Very similar, yes. That's being finalized, actually worked on this coming week, the bus and transportation routes. So we'll be getting those out in the next couple of weeks so that people can plan on their pickup and drop off times. We will schedule every single student for a bus pickup and drop off. Listen, some of the questions so far have been about what if things go bad. I think we also need to hold out some hope that what if things go well? So wouldn't it be a wonderful world if a vaccine or something was in place that allowed us to return to full learn come sometime in the 2021 school year? I have no crystal ball again, but we want to make sure we plan for all possible options.
Okay. The next one's not a question, it's a comment. Karen, some people would like you to turn your camera back on. They miss you and the dog. The next one is, I have 4 children, 2 of them with IEPs, one entering 6th and the other entering 9th. If I choose remote learning, will they have access to their teachers daily?
In the online academy?
Yes.
It's Tuesday through Friday. Yes, the online academy is an everyday program.
Okay. Oh, Karen answered that she's there and the dog is sleeping. Can you please provide the most recent air ventilation inspection and report, which includes each building's rating? Please tell us which MERV filter is being used.
Our MERV ratings vary. Rose, do you want to address some of that? And we certainly can produce a report that if we have it. But go ahead, Rose.
Sure. So the reports are done at installation, and we are required yearly maintenance, which we have just completed. We have met all MERV requirements in our buildings. The middle school and high school have MERV 8 and 9 filters. The Marlboro Elementary School has MERV 13 and 14 filters because that is a newer unit.
Thank you. Why not wait a month, start with remote, phase in, and reevaluate as needed? Why are we the test group? Give your staff and families appropriate time to prepare, do it well, monitor events.
I think that the requirement is that we begin at the beginning of September, regardless of whether we're remote or whether we're in person. So there are some districts around us that have chosen to begin their school year remotely right at the get-go. We're looking at this as an opportunity in New York State, with the numbers being so low, especially in our area here in Marlboro, that this is, to us, an ideal time to begin working in person as much as possible, establish those relationships, establish those routines, and then get our children working together with our staff as much as possible, so that if there is a problem down the line, we've already got some routine set and people already know each other face to face.
Can the teachers give the parents enough advance notice for the parents to work with their children and help them complete assignments on time and not be told when it's too late?
Yes, that is the purpose of the Monday Collaboration and Communication and Collaboration Day. We want to eliminate that gap by giving our teachers, our families, and our students plenty of time to plan, collaborate, and communicate about their children's progress.
Right. Is there any chance of holding outdoor classes as weather permits, especially at the elementary level, where they're with the same teacher all day?
I think we should use as much outdoor space as we possibly can, as long as students are being safe and monitored and teachers are using it in a controlled way. As long as the weather cooperates, we should use outdoor space. Fresh air is good.
Okay. Last year, both of our teachers did their online learning very differently. Will the elementary school be streamlined so we as a family can be more proficient with less variations of platforms?
Yes, we would like to have much more streamlined, much more clear, much more concise understanding of how, when, and in what format instruction occurs. So our expectation is there will be an awful lot more live. There will be some structured schedule to it, and there will be some flexibility as far as live versus remote and recorded options.
Okay. Is there a certain number of positive COVID cases before the school goes virtual? If so, what it does that include all teachers and staff?
It depends upon a number of factors. Some can be regional. So we're in the Mid-Hudson Valley. The Mid-Hudson Valley is a measure point for the governor's office, and if the region experiences a certain level of COVID infections, the governor's office may step in and alter our school model. For example, if our number rises, I believe it's 5%, above 5%, there may be an altering of what we do. But also more on a localized level, the Department of Health will determine, based upon the actual facts of any cases, what has to happen. Does a class have to quarantine? Does a grade level? Does a section of a building? Does a whole building? Or does the whole district have to go onto a quarantine? I think the headlines that you see play out on the news on a nightly basis are real headlines, and those are things that we watch very closely.
Okay, can parents visit the school before it opens so we're aware of the change and explain to the kids of the change if they become nervous?
Yeah, I empathize with you, and we certainly don't want any of our children to be nervous. We want to have that caring and nurturing element to it, but we absolutely have to minimize the number of people that come into our buildings. So we are not going to be opening up our buildings to families. To our families to come in and see the spaces. That will just introduce more people into a sanitized environment than we would be comfortable with.
So many other schools are staying closed. Why are we not?
Well, we think that the conditions are ripe right now in our local area, that not only just in New York State, but in our local area here in Marlboro, that the infection rate is so small that if there's a time that we can get back together and get to know each other and get some routines in place and get learning going face to face, now's the time to do it.
Will children who receive extra help in math and or reading still receive that online?
Yes. Special education programs will be in place, and academic intervention services will also be in place.
And this is a comment, not a question. Yes, our teachers are amazing. They will do whatever it takes.
I agree. I agree with that wholeheartedly.
I have questions needing to be answered by the guidance counselor in order to make a decision which option I will be choosing for my children. Monday will be too late if you need a response by Sunday. But they, just so everybody knows, the guidance counselors, I'll give Mike a break here a second. The guidance counselors aren't the end all be all for those questions. Your building principals could also assist you with any of that.
Yes.
Other schools have opted to have Group A on Monday and Tuesday, with Wednesday is all remote and deep cleaning, followed by Group B on Thursday, Friday. Has the district thought of this option?
Yes, that's actually one of the hybrid models that we looked at very closely. The reason that we chose not to go with that model is the deep clean Wednesday actually, to me, asks the question, why aren't we deep cleaning all the other days? So our expectation is Mr. Cavazza's crew will be deep cleaning and sanitizing all of our spaces every single night. And if we go with that model, AA, with the Wednesday as a cleaning and communication day, and then BB on Thursday and Friday, students will be away from their teachers for 5 days at a time. And we wanted to maximize or minimize the amount of time and days that our children are away from our teachers. So by doing the every other day, Tuesday through Friday, you're going to be with your teacher every 2 or 3 days. So that's the reason why we chose the model we're in.
On Monday, are there new assignments, or is that day for students to catch up and get help from teachers if needed?
It really depends upon the course and the grade level and the situation. Those will be the clear communications that come from teachers. Teachers are well planned. They have weeks worth of planning in their plan books as they put things together. It's just a matter of how to translate that so that families and students know exactly what it is that's coming so they can also plan.
And I have to thank so many of you that are on this that have gotten an answer there and redacted and retracted your message. It makes it easier as we move through these. Thank you. When will parents know what model they are in?
You should have gotten a letter this week. If you did not get a letter yet, please contact your building principal. You should have already received a letter giving you your Group A or Group B, and also which day your children are supposed to come to school on the soft opening week.
And I think the other thing, we're not denying anybody that looks to go to the fully online. So anybody that submitted a request is going to be honored, correct, Mike?
That is correct.
Okay. And I know that some people got the AB letters because we needed to get them out to everybody. So you don't want to, just because you got that letter doesn't mean you're in an AB if you selected to go online fully.
Correct.
So,
we wanted to get that letter out to families so that if they were going to stay with the AB hybrid model, they could begin planning what their September realities are. For example, if you need to coordinate with work schedules or if you need to coordinate with daycare schedules, we need to get you that information as quickly as possible, which is why we got those letters out this week.
will the kids taking classes at home be able to take college courses?
Yes, we are finalizing some of those details with Mr. Lawler. Actually is working on that with his high school folks. And we will do every single thing that we can possibly do to get our kids the same courses that they would take in class online.
Okay. When will we find out who our elementary school teacher is?
That'll be towards the end of August, just like end of August or beginning of September, just like a regular year.
If a student is doing virtual learning and struggling, will extra help be available?
I think that would be a wise thing to make sure that you have communication with your teachers on that Monday CNC day. Also contact your principal or assistant principal and request if there needs to be some kind of a child study team meeting so that we can support your children. If they are struggling, we want to get your children the help they need.
Who do I need to talk to if the hybrid group doesn't work for me? And I'll just, as we've said, those really should be addressed to the building principals. This way they can assist you if there's a specific need.
Correct.
Will there be an immediate notification of any positive cases within the district?
The Department of Health has a standard letter that we would send out, or a communication. So as soon as they notify us that we have to notify and contact trace, we will do that immediately. And again, remember I said it's a cross current relationship with them. The county executive's office, we have a direct line of contact with, and the nursing staff at the Department of Health will have a direct line of contact with our nursing staff in our schools.
When a child is doing remote learning, what happens if they have a doctor's appointment or can't make class?
Just like it would be for a regular school. They need to notify their teacher that they won't be available because they have a doctor's appointment, and there'll be some accommodation to help make up that time and that work.
Okay. The return to learn plan says students with a temperature of 100 or above will be sent home. What about lower grade temps like 99 or 99.9?
The Department of Health, from New York State on down, and also through the CDC, uses 100, and I believe it's actually 100.4. So dropping it down to 100 is a bit of a split there. But that's the line that they use for a fever with someone that would need to have some medical follow-up.
When will we know if our child has been approved, not approved for remote learning?
If you signed up for online academy, you are in the online academy, and we will be communicating out with you through our schools to confirm that you're in that program. Okay. You can certainly call if you want. Like I spoke with a few people today, and I pulled up the list and I confirmed. You can certainly call your building, and the building can tell you that they received your registration. But if you filled out the form, we have your name.
Will there be more coordinated approach to busing? Maybe sending out a survey to see which families can drive their kids and which cannot, and asking for a commitment to that to ensure bus safety?
Ms. Mealy, you want to address that?
Yes, we will be putting out a survey to all parents, asking them if they require transportation, and that will help us guide our bus routes so we have more accurate times, but we will provide transportation for all students coming to the hybrid program.
Thank you. Is it possible to hold an after-school tutoring session for children that are struggling with the change?
I think that actually is a perfect opportunity for some additional online supports. We will not have, at least initially, after-school buses. We will not have late buses. So when the school day is over, we are expecting everyone to go home. So I think that that's a perfect opportunity to see how can we use that Monday. And also, are there hours that can be used immediately after school in a remote way for helping students? We want to help our kids. So I think that that's a perfect question to put to a teacher to see how can I get some extra help on something.
Okay. To follow through with my other question about Monday, if a student has all work from the week finished, would this be a day to have video lessons? Seems like it would be a good day for that.
Maybe a great thing for that student to say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Teacher, do you have anything else that I can do? Do you have any enrichment activities? I think that's a wonderful opportunity, and I would cherish that as a teacher.
I feel like the hybrid kids see all their teachers twice a week, and the online academy, we only see them once. Is the sample schedule accurate? I thought they would see them all at least twice a week, Mike.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's twice a week, so maybe there's a misinterpretation of the schedule. And I would hope that there'd be opportunities for more than that, maybe, because we can do small group stuff on Mondays also. But yeah, I'm pretty sure, at least at the middle, definitely at the middle school and high school, it's twice a week. So
okay,
Tuesday through Friday.
Will the students be receiving Chromebooks this year? Also, what will their grading policy be this year? And is the same regardless of learning mode?
So grades count, assignments count, tests, quizzes, etc. That all counts, just like we were before all this happened. So we're going back to our regular grading practices. So yes, those absolutely count. And as far as Chromebooks, our youngest students are going to be, our youngest students in the elementary school are going to be issued iPads. The rest of the students at the elementary school will be given Chromebooks. They are on order right now. So as soon as we receive the order of Chromebooks, We will then begin the work on distributing out enough Chromebooks and iPads for K through 5. Our 6 through 12, 7 through 12 right now has their computers. 6th graders, as the incoming 6th graders, will be getting their Chromebooks at the beginning of the year as well. We're waiting for the order. We've got 500 Chromebooks on order. We're just waiting for that order to come in.
Okay, hold on one second. I don't want to skip anybody here.
By the way, we received federal funding to purchase those 500 Chromebooks and also some additional cleaning supplies. So there's no cost to the taxpayers for those.
Why are we the only school going to open when everyone around us is staying closed? We've discussed this. It's unfortunately fortunately we're not the only one that's opening. If someone filled out the online only academy, and are they automatically enrolled to the online only academy?
Yes.
Yeah. If a child is in remote learning and we end up going to the virtual district-wide, would the child stay in the remote group, or will they then go to their assigned teacher, with their assigned teacher?
Right. So the online group is your assigned teacher, so you most likely will stay in that particular class setting. And then the other classes would then join you in the online academy in their own classes. So most likely it'll remain as is. So
Okay.
I don't think that that's going to change teachers.
Will Google Classroom be used as the teaching platform, or will there be multiple like last year?
Google Classroom, I believe. Ms. Heck, do you want to address this one?
Yes, Google Classroom will be used as our platform. The platforms have to pass the data privacy agreement, and Google Classroom does.
Okay.
And Google Meets as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
What will recess look like for elementary school students? Will they be allowed to utilize the playground equipment?
Ms. Hecht is, Ms. Walsh and Ms. Kaplan are reviewing that right now. I know Ms. Mealy actually brought it up to me earlier that we need to look at what guidance we have regarding that equipment. We do want to have children outside. We do want to have them playing, but we also have to worry about those being high-touch facilities. So it's something we have to review and see are those areas that have to be shut off and isolated, or can the space be used and not the equipment?
Okay. If they all have to go remote, how will that be done? Will all the students go to the online academy model, or is there a different model for students who go from hybrid to all remote?
More or less, everyone would be shifting over primarily with the flick of a switch to the online academy. So you would take your classes that you have in our schools and just move into the remote academy. I mean, the online academy, excuse me.
Well, I guess the better question, Mike, so would they switch from the 9 periods one day and nothing the next, where it's a distance, or would they go to the 4 and 5 model?
For the middle school and high school, they would most likely be going to the 4 and 5 model. That is a little bit far down into the future, so that's a detail that has to be worked out with our middle school and high school people. But I would presume that would be the model switch right there.
Perfect. Going with the theory that things can go well, I like this one. Is there a chance for 5-day school in January?
You never know. I think that we absolutely can make that switch depending upon what happens in our health realities. And it doesn't have to match up, by the way, it doesn't have to match up with the marking period or semester. So let's watch and see how things happen over the coming months and weeks. So let's keep that hope there.
The next one, if a vaccine comes out, will it be mandatory for our children to continue school? That's something that none of us can predict. That's something that will either come from an executive order from the governor, something from state ed, the New York State Department of Health, the federal government. That's not something that we as a school board or the district will get to decide.
That or the legislature could pass a law regarding adding this to the vaccine list. So that's,
It's
unknowable right now.
There's a million different ways we could be told what we have to do. What about the kids going to CTEC?
Students will still be attending CTEC. Our high school principal is working on coordinating that effort with the CTEC folks out in Goshen and also our transportation department.
Okay. Can a parent decide to switch their options now before the deadline? For instance, I requested online only learning, but after listening to everything, I think the hybrid model seems okay.
Absolutely. Contact your building tomorrow.
Okay, we just talked about CTEC. What about making a video of the spaces for each school building for families so parents and students can see the changes before the students have to go in?
Ms. Heck, is that something we could do to try to get some sample videos out? Maybe Jessica can help you out with that?
Yes, we can do that.
Okay. Thank you.
Lockers. Are students going to be carrying their book bags this year?
We were just talking about that earlier. We are not, right now, we're not scheduled to use the lockers at the middle school and high school. So there will need to be a storage solution in classrooms. But remember, there's going to be a minimal amount of movement. It will be one of the challenges for us. So listen, at the high school level, Mr. Lawler tells me hardly any high schoolers use their lockers anyway. They're virtually empty. Middle school, a little more used. So we're going to have to try to reduce the amount of clutter that children have to carry around during the course of the day and the weight of the books.
The next one, I've spoken to the assistant principal at the high school. She could not answer all of my questions because they were specific to my children. I need to speak to the guidance counselor in order to make my decision. What I would recommend is there will be a guidance counselor on there Monday. I would try and reach out to Mr. Lawler tomorrow. If he still can't answer it and you need to wait till Monday, it's not the absolute end of the world,
Right.
but please try and talk to Mr. Lawler tomorrow or the guidance counselor first thing Monday morning. You have kids that go to CTEC and that's another school, and then they can come back to this school. How are you going to make sure everyone is safe?
We all have to work on this together. Washing hands frequently, sanitizing our buses frequently, sanitizing our spaces, staying as distant as possible. It's the piece that we all have to pull the wagon in the same direction on. Have your hygiene kit, wash your hands, sanitize your hands, wash down your spaces, wash down your areas, keep yourself clean, and be smart about the distancing. Will all courses, example, Regents courses based at the middle school, be available to students in remote learning? Yes. Are some teachers going to be teaching remotely because they are high risk? Are you hiring additional teachers to help cover instruction? We'll bring in additional subs right at the beginning so we can create some utility players that can step in when they need to. We are reviewing some very specific staff needs as it relates to their particular situation, and we'll make the necessary accommodations to make sure everybody's okay. Can the parent's email address be allowed to be CC'd on emails that students write to their teachers so the parents can see the teacher's response? As of now, the parent's email gets blocked. I'm going to have to put that on a parking lot question so that maybe Robin, you and Mike can look at that question and see if you can find out an answer there for us. I don't know enough about how the email system works there regarding that. Sorry.
Absolutely. We'll look into it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. What about the kids that go to CTEC? That's a whole, no, we already did that. There. Online Academy schedule is AB. If my kid is A, they go through periods 1 through 9 once a week. No, if your child is an A, they would go through their 1 to 9 twice a week, correct? Mike?
Right. So in the online academy, there is no A, B.
No. Oh, yeah. Excuse me. You're right. I think online.
So on the online academy, the way I understand it is Tuesday and Wednesday would be periods 1 through 9, and then Thursday and Friday would again be periods 1 through 9.
And then if you're in the online academy, you would have periods 1 through 5 one day, 6 through 9 would, and then they do repeat on Thursday and then repeat again on Friday.
I think we just said the same thing unless I misunderstood the question. So for the online academy, Tuesday and Wednesday would be periods 1 through 9 split between those 2 days. And then Wednesday and Friday again would be 1 through 9 split between the 2 days.
The split, that's what I missed. Okay.
Yeah.
If a student does virtual, will workbooks material be provided?
With the online academy,
Yes.
whatever materials we need, those will be provided, whether they're online, electronic, or whether they're paper and we have to get them out to families. It depends upon the situation.
My understanding is that online is not AB. Please clarify. You're correct. Online is not AB. Like Mr. Brooks just said, Tuesday and Wednesday, it's the 9 periods, and then Thursday and Friday, it's the 9 periods repeated, split between the 2 days.
Correct.
The C-Tech students, how are we going to keep it? The thing that everybody needs to remember is all the school districts and the superintendent is meeting daily with the people from Orange Ulster BOCES and the other superintendents. Everybody is implementing the same safety protocols for cleaning and distancing. So the children going to C-Tech are going to be just as protected as the children coming to our buildings.
Correct.
Online learners were told to disregard the cohort letters that we received, correct?
Yes.
If a child has a cold and can't wear a mask at school, can they stay home and work remotely to avoid absence?
Yeah, so if you're sick, we want you to stay home until you're no longer sick. And when students are sick, we have an obligation to still have them participate in learning. So teachers and administrators will work on how to help out kids when they're sick. It's what we do in a regular course of any day. This gives us some some unique opportunities because of our remote abilities.
It is a New York State education reopening guidelines that students should not be present during disinfecting and should not be disinfecting areas. How are you going to handle that?
When our custodians are disinfecting areas, certainly at night, they're not going to be present. And if they're in cleaning a room, it will be when the room is empty.
And the general wiping with cloth by a student to clean their desk wouldn't be considered disinfecting. It's general cleaning, correct, Mike?
Right. So the terminology from the state ed documentation is when our cleaning staff is going in to disinfect the room, because there's aerosolized disinfectant that's being sprayed sometimes. So we've got that equipment that sprays down surfaces. You don't want to have people in those spaces while those are being used. But when you're washing your hands, you need to be present. So, if you're washing down your own area, cleaning your own area, you absolutely need to be able to do that yourself. It's when we're using equipment and concentrated chemicals for disinfecting and sanitizing that they shouldn't be present.
What if the letter says my son is in B group, but the A group works better for my job? Can we switch?
I think that's a conversation you'd have to have with your building principal.
Will C-Tech students be able to do online learning for C-Tech if they're going to school in person?
I am going to actually ask you to contact Mr. Lawler or Mrs. Thomas tomorrow at the high school. They would have a good answer for you. So I don't know enough about the answer there to give you a good one tonight. I'd ask if you would call them tomorrow, please.
I have a two-part question. First, my child suffers seasonal allergies, and of course it just jumped because it's allergies and coughs nonstop. She's been on every allergy medication with no help. Do I need to be worried that she will be consistently sent home in fear of COVID?
First of all, I would make sure you have this conversation with your pediatrician or your family doctor. I think that's an important piece that you have to review with them and get their input and guidance on. We will send home children that are presenting with a fever, and we will send home children that are sick, just like we would have in a normal school year. We'll communicate that with you. But if you're concerned about something specific and want to have a procedure in place that our nurses can follow through on, please have that conversation with your family physician and let us know what that requirement is from your specific situation.
Kids that go to CTEC go to school with other districts. How's that going to work?
Similar to the answer you just gave, school districts around the region are all using exactly the same cleaning protocols. We are keeping our buses clean. And BOCES is also a very clean location. So this is something that is universal across all of our systems.
Will students that go to CTEC have to go every day?
Mrs. Heck, do you know if that's an every other day or an every day? Or Mrs. Mealy, do you know? I don't know.
Yes, it's an every other day schedule for
Okay.
CTEC students.
Okay. And Karen, this question's addressed to you. It's strictly up to you if you want to answer. It's a personal question as to whether or not you'll be sending your child to which option you've chosen.
We did a lot of talking about this. Paige has asthma. Paige did exceptionally in the online learning environment, and she asked me to actually pull her out of Marlboro and put her in the CK12 online. I'm not doing that. I put her in the online virtual academy because she does well with that. And she had, like I said, she has asthma. She's high risk. And my husband and I are also high risk diabetics.
Thank you, Karen. This is a comment from somebody, not a question. Just wanted to say thank you for your dedication to our families and students. You're all appreciated.
Thank you.
Will CTEC students go every day? We just got the answer to that. My son has an IEP and goes to CTEC. Now, can he go to CTEC and just do online learning for Marlboro schools?
Robin, do you have an answer on that one? That's a pretty complicated scenario, but I believe that the option is there and the schedule would have to be worked out. So,
Yeah, so if you're asking if they can do that, both CTEC and online, yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
You talked about students bringing in wipes and cleaning their desks. So the children don't need to bring the wipes since they won't be cleaning with those, but using a paper towel?
Well, I think the wipes are just very convenient, but it's hard to find them. So we'll order and purchase wipes galore in the school district. We just can't find them. That's one of the things that's very difficult for us to find. You know, that my daughters were going to be going to school. They're older now. They'd be coming to school if we had them with wipes so they can keep their areas clean and wipe things down. So if that's something that you can put into your students' your child's hygiene kit, please do so.
There's thank you. There's two thank yous to Karen for sharing. Since CTEC is every other day, they will go to school 4 days a week.
Say that again. I didn't understand.
Since CTEC is every other day, they will go to school 4 days a week.
Actually, it'll rotate 1 week 2, 1 week 3, then the next week 2, then the next week 3. As students that are attending CTEC, Monday is part of the BOCES CTEC rotation.
Gotcha. It's a comment. Thank you all for our administration and Board of Ed. It's obvious you've all been working very hard to get us ready for this year. With that, we've answered all of the questions that have been posted.
Actually, we have an answer to the duplicate email question. So, Ms. Hecht, can you give an answer on the CC duplicate email question?
Yes, I can. So unfortunately, due to the data security requirements, we will not open student emails outside of our domain. But teachers, that's different. They can, a parent can ask the teacher to CC them on the email, and that way the parent will get the email.
Gotcha. So the system can't do it automatically, but
Right.
the teacher can add that CC in.
But the teacher can add a CC of the parent's name or parent's email, which is outside the domain, and then they'll be attached.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so with that, I want to remind everybody, we do have another meeting on Tuesday night, August 18th at 7 p.m. For the community to talk about the reopening plan. And then we have our regular board meeting on August the 20th, next Thursday at 7:30 p.m. And this went so well, we are going to try and use this for our 2 public comment periods. The first one was only about items that are on our agenda, and then the general comments at the end. So I do appreciate everybody's input on behalf of the entire board. I want to say thank you. I do need to get a motion from the board members. We do have to go into executive session to talk about the specific employment history of an individual employee. Can I have a motion to go into exec? Jane? Second, John? All in favor, thumbs up. All in favor. There'll be no action after the meeting. Thank you very much to the public for joining us tonight, and thank you to the administration for all the work they're doing on it.
Thank you, everyone. Have a nice night.